Last devlog I created a traffic system with cars and traffic lights, and today I'm gonna add NFT. Ah, right, I didn't implement electricity, so I'm gonna do that instead today. If you're new here, I'm working on a city building game, where your playstyle directly impacts the people and environment of your city. And luckily, there are countless ways to do that with electricity. But before you're able to plug a fork into a socket, I need to define the process of how energy actually gets to your home. This is also something I'm actually somewhat knowledgeable about, as I'm currently studying electrical engineering. Basically, you can split the energy cycle into 4 parts. First, the electricity is generated. Next, the electrons are amped up for their long travels with the use of a substation. Then they have to be transported to their destination. And finally, the amped up electrons have to be slowed down so your house doesn't burn into ashes. Then let's get started with designing a few different power plants. I think the coal plants are the most basic power plants out of all of them. So let's boot up Blender and start some modeling. I'm still struggling quite a bit with designing low poly buildings and using the right color schemes. But after a bit of work I was able to finish the model. Because keeping this game accessible for T-Rexes is very important to me. I created a little animation for a belt that moves the coal into the building. And before you ask, no, coal is not infinitely spawned on this belt. That would be really stupid. I pulled a sneaky one on ya and just repeated the same pattern over and over. After finishing the animations, I imported the model into Unity. Then I added a smog effect that I made in a previous video, and apart from looking good, the smog actually has an impact on the surrounding area. This area will very slowly but surely start to fog up, and the health of your citizens will drop down accordingly. As I don't really have any idea how to create fog, I bought myself a fog machine, studied the fog extensively, wrote multiple papers about it, and with this newfound knowledge, I was finally able to download the code from Mozilla. Thank you, I definitely owe you a pancake. Now finally people can get lung cancer. Cool. Matrix is another game developer who worked on a city builder, but recently he announced that he will stop working on his game for now, because the scope was too big. This made me thinking that I actually should concentrate more on building the most important features first, before expanding the game with more content. This method has a name, it's named a minimal viable product. This is typically used for alphas or demos, or if you're a AAA studio, it's just a normal game on the release day. So if I follow the MVP concept, I should hop on to the next feature, but I just want to make one more building, okay? It won't take long, and it will be very cool, I promise. Thank you, not that you have had any influence in my decision anyway. So the building I want to make is a nuclear power plant. The problem with nuclear power plants is that they are gigantic, and with low poly modeling the general rule is that if something is bigger, it should also be more detailed. This means that it will take more time and is easier to mess up for me. But you're in luck, I'm too lazy to record dozens of hours of me modeling, so here's the end result. I'll add some smoke again, but this time it's white. Not because the new pope was elected, but because nuclear power plants simply emit steam in contrast to coal plants. Consequently, they don't really impact the environment under normal conditions, and apart from the nuclear waste, they are actually quite environmentally friendly. But it's pretty boring if nothing bad can happen with nuclear power plants. So let's add the most obvious thing. If everything goes wrong, they simply blow up. So let's Google how to make power plants explode. FBI, open up! In Unity. This thumbnail looked cool, so I followed the tutorial roughly, and now I have a nice nuclear explosion. The only problem with this effect is that it actually halves the FPS, which I think is not that good. Maybe I'll change it up later and add some casual radiation poisoning or a simple explosion instead. I'm not sure yet, but I'm still at step 2 out of 4, so I need to hurry up a bit. Wait, you thought I only implemented the power plants? Silly you! The substation is clearly visible. How did you miss it? To transport the electricity, I made some power poles and procedurally generated the lines between them with Bezier curves. Now you should be able to place them. Oh, no, this isn't right. I guess I accidentally implemented a drawing tool. Wait a minute. At which point does it start to lag?
A few moments later.
So I've spent a bit of time and placed a few thousand power poles, and it still runs smoothly. I think this is a decent number, so performance test check, even if I don't really know if this performance test has any indication for my game. But sadly, I have to fix this. I'm sorry. This is the expected way it should work. It's not as fun as it was before, but it gets the job done. With that out of the way, I only need to implement the substation that converts the energy to usable electricity. Substations are quite cool because they produce these lightning bolts sometimes. After taking a class on electric power engineering, I can easily explain to you why this phenomenon occurs. It happens not because of some fancy physics stuff, but simply because Bob forgot to tighten the bolts again, and now nobody can fix it. Great job, Bob. Well, anyway, here's the model I created. To make my life a little bit easier, a substation provides energy for the whole island, and not only the connected roads. So I only need to tell the substation which power plants are linked to it. To do that, each power pole knows to which other object it is connected to. Thus, when they are connected, they just search through the whole graph and add all existing energy producers to the substation. If you destroy them, the energy gets updated accordingly. The last thing I did was to create a little window that plops up if you click on the building. It provides some information about energy, employed people, cost, and probability of failure. In contrast to other games, funding actually changes all of these stats, from production over employee to even the danger. And if Bob alone runs this place, the probability of it going nuts will definitely increase to unhealthy amounts. In the next video I'm gonna add humans, so if you don't want to miss that, like and subscribe. Also, if you can't get enough of me, check me out on Twitch, where I'm streaming game development and the exploitation of other games. Well, that was a long video. Bye.